Very detailed study. This by a team of experts from 9 countries. The Sikkim GLOF disaster, as we know, had claimed over 50 lives and scores of people still remain missing. Not only this, infrastructure worth thousands of crores were destroyed. This study, published in the journal called Science, also warns of recurrence of such disasters. So what could be the way forward? That's the big question. Well, we are being joined on Evening Prime by Dr. Ashim Sattar, a glaciologist, currently a faculty at IIT Bhubaneswar, who led the team of experts in this comprehensive study. A very warm welcome to you, Dr. Sattar, on Evening Prime. First of all, the study gives details of the trigger for the October 2023 glacial lake outburst flood in Sikkim. When you take a relook at that, what is that one factor or factors that worries you the most, something that needs to be addressed immediately?
Right. Thank you, first of all, for inviting me. Well, I'm really happy with this article that's come out, and this article basically highlights the entire process that were pertaining during the glacial lake outburst floods on the 3rd of October from the South Lonak Lake. So the most striking feature of this particular study is that this South Lonak outburst was triggered by a landslide that actually entered into a lake, and there was a tsunami wave that was created. And this tsunami wave had a height of 20 meters, and that drained off 50 million cubic meters of water. So the point here that our science paper highlights is the fact that the failure zone, the zone from where the failure occurred, had shown displacement from years before the actual failure. So when we looked into the displacements or the movement or the stability of that particular portion which collapsed showed displacement from 2016 onwards, and it went up to 15 meters per year. So there were some signs, and that was a huge amount, 14.7 million cubic meters of debris that fell off. So one of the important features or important things that we should be very considerate is the impact of climate change in the high mountains. Our study shows that there is abundant permafrost. When I talk about permafrost, I mean to say that it is frozen ground. So whenever there is long-term climate change, and we talk about the drivers in this paper, when I talk about these drivers, long-term climate change is impacting the permafrost, the frozen ground, right? And as the temperature of this frozen ground nears to 0 degrees, that is towards melting, it shows a lot of degradation, and that might lead to future, slope failures. So that's one concern that we have. It's the impact of long-term climate change.
It has been a continuous process. And is the study also indicative of the fact that any sort of construction in the Himalayan belt, hydropower projects to be precise, all these come with their own share of risks, definitely? Why I'm asking this is because a clearance has just come in for rebuilding the Tista Stage 3 dam in Sikkim, and there's a lot of opposition to it already.
If I can answer this question, in this, for example, of course, in the Himalayas, that's where most of the hydropowers are, and that's where we have the maximum potential to generate electricity. So we cannot stop building hydropowers, but the fact is that there has to be assessments, proper hazard assessments, before something is taken up, a project, whether it's a smaller hydropower or any sort of infrastructure in that sense. Whenever there is a proper hazard assessment, since I am a cryospheric expert, I can only talk about glacier-related hazards. That is, there are glacial lakes up there, that has potential risks. But if those risks are properly, addressed, I think, I do not see. It is all about the assessment. So once the assessments are done, and based on the assessments, the decisions can be taken. So I do not have a clear answer to this, but yes, we cannot stop, generating electricity, and that's where the potential lies in the Himalayas.
Now, talking about risks, do you think the early warning system needs vast improvement in vulnerable glacial regions? Your report study also talks about
Yes.
need to improve the early warning system.
Yes, absolutely. I think since these early warning systems can give timely warning in such events, that can give you response time. You have enough time to respond to such events, and that can save a lot of lives and infrastructure, of course. And not only early warning system, there are several other structural, non-structural ways you can mitigate this risk. When I talk about non-structural measures, I am trying to say about awareness of the local communities that these kinds of hazards lie in the high mountains, like GLOF can be destructive. For example, South Lonak Lake is one of such examples. And of course, when you talk about early warning systems, they can be very effective in timely warnings, whether it's infrastructure or communities downstream.
Communication is is a major problem in a state like Sikkim, or for that matter in any part of the Himalayan belt. How effective do you think the early warning system can be under such circumstances, and do you think that that ecosystem is being put in place consciously?
I would like to first of all highlight that, when you talk about early warning systems in high mountains in Himalayas, the Himalaya is a very, very tough terrain. So it's just easy to talk about the glacial lakes, but when you try to look into that in the field or visit a glacial lake, that is very, very difficult. Looking into the terrain conditions, the climate weather conditions, so implementing early warning system is challenging, of course, looking into the terrain conditions, the climatic conditions, but I think we are going towards it, and we are well aware of the hazards that exist in the high mountains in the form of glacial lakes or avalanches, and we are preparing ourselves and going towards mitigating this risk in the future.